Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dashcoin Research Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Wenzel, and today I have Jonathan with me. Jonathan is the founder of Schej. Jonathan, it's great to have you here.
Great to be talking to you, Nick, or
Could
Nicholas.
you, yeah, could you tell us a little bit about what Schej is?
Yeah, sure. So Schej is a open source scheduling platform that helps groups find the time to meet. So if you're meeting with a group of, say, like five different people and everybody has different schedules and you need to align on some time to meet, you use Schej. And we make it really simple for you to create a scheduling link, send it out to all these five people and have them fill out their availabilities and see when all the availabilities overlap.
Love it. That's beautifully succinct and nicely said. What were you doing before Schej?
Yeah, so before Schedge, I was actually the co-founder of a YC company. And we pivoted around a bunch, explored a bunch of different ideas. Nothing really worked. And eventually I decided to end up leaving that company because Schedge was working and nothing else we were trying to do was. It was just a side project I had started in college. And at that point, when I decided to leave, it was at 500,000 monthly visits. And I was like, oh my God, lots of traction here. I kind of want to double down on what's working instead of trying to start something new from scratch.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I read that thread you had on your profile. It got a lot of views. I had like 1,400 likes when I checked that your whole story about like pivoting and pivoting and pivoting. Um, and it looked like Roy from Cluely wanted to hire you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've been following Roy for a very long time, even before he was even posting on Twitter. His initial start was shit posting on LinkedIn, and I was interacting with him. I thought he was a really funny guy, and then his LinkedIn got banned, and I was like, "Where'd Roy go?" So I moved to Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, Roy moved to Twitter." So then I started interacting with him on Twitter. So we've known each other for a really long time, and he just DM'd me out of the blue, like, "Hey, really like stuff you've been up to. Would love to have you join as a founding engineer." So I toyed with the idea of potentially joining, but in the end, I think I realized that I really wanted to double down and work on my own thing because that's the end goal in life. Like 400K salary at Cluely is a lot. I think they're going to do very, very well. But in terms of my own goals, I think that is more of going the indie hacker route, working on my own thing. And be fulfilled doing that.
That's crazy that you turned down a 400K a year job at a cool company too. It's not like this is at like
Yeah,
Meta
yeah,
or something where you'd be doing, I don't know, like something boring. This is like that's a pretty cool company. Um, and it just shows that you have a lot of conviction in yourself, which I can appreciate. And I think you're right that it's really important to double down on yourself, and that's like where a lot of the memories in life will come from. So I wish you much luck in that. How have you been feeling with that decision? Have you ever looked back and been like, ooh, maybe I should have taken that, or are you like, yeah, this is the right move for me?
yeah. I mean, I've I'm kind of a hot commodity on the market. A lot of people want me to be the founding engineers. I was actually outbounded by the Mercor guys when they were very early, and Mercor right now is doing very well. I think they raised I don't know exactly how much they've raised, but they've raised a lot of money. They have contracts with like OpenAI, all these big AI labs. Um, and in the early days, they wanted me, but when I was working for them, it was also the same kind of feeling where I was always working for somebody else, didn't really have full autonomy, wasn't didn't have full ownership over what I was creating. It just always felt like I was given tasks to do and I was just executing on them. And I just realized I wasn't really fulfilled doing that. So I think, yes, this is the right decision. And I've been able to figure that out through all of these different experiences trying to be a founding engineer.
Love it. Nice, man. So tell me about the story of how you launched your token on Belief. What was the hours leading up to that and then the hours afterward?
Yeah, sure. So it was just a regular day. I was just gonna make a Sketch launch post because I was like, okay, I'm doubling down on Sketch. I need to relaunch, build my Twitter following, and tell the world that I'm working on Sketch. So I just made a regular launch post. didn't even know that tokens were a thing, that Believe was even a thing. Made my launch post and then had several people commenting on the post like, "Hey, you should launch a token. You should launch a token." And I was like, "What's a token?" And then I just commented like at launch coin plus Schej or whatever you needed to do to launch on the Believe platform, and a token was made. And then I was like, okay, cool. Now what? So I wasn't really informed about what a token was before I launched it. So it was kind of a spur of the moment decision because people were kind of telling me to. And I was like, okay, this might be cool. Let me explore it. And I didn't know it would launch a token immediately after I commented the thing, but that's what happened.
Yeah, this is actually the most common way that I've heard founders talk about their launch story is they kind of saw it on Twitter and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, let me learn more. And then they like launch the token and they're like, okay, so now what does that mean? Oh, now I have a bunch of Twitter degens like in my DMs telling me to like pay for deck screener. Like, what the fuck is that? I think it's a funny side effect of the fact that Believe made it so easy to launch a token that founder that like people don't even know what it means to launch a token, and they launched one anyway. Like I had a similar launch where some guy told me to launch a coin for my dashboard that I had made. I was like, sure. I mean, I'm in crypto, so I knew what that meant. But I was like, well, I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go, and went ahead and did that. And so, what's that been like for you since? Have you ever like regretted it, or did you kind of embrace it and are just like, well, we'll figure this out on the fly, like you're determined to make it happen?
Yeah, I think sometimes I have regretted it because there's these two poles um, in terms of directions that I want to take Sketch, right? There's my existing users who are pretty much all Web 2, I think. And I've amassed that user base over the last few years of Sketch existing. And then there's also this other pull from all the crypto people who are like, hey, you need to assign some value to your token. You need to integrate crypto into your products. But it's just a lot of my users are not in crypto, so that wouldn't really be that valuable to them. But it would be valuable to a lot of the token holders. So I think sometimes I do regret it because it makes me think, oh, maybe I wouldn't have all this pull from people who aren't really even users of my products um, if I didn't launch the token.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. It's kind of a double-edged sword to have this like coin community because on one hand, what I've seen is a lot of people have a coin and then they get all these users for their product where previously they didn't have many users. And so they couldn't even test it because if you have no one using your product, then you don't know what's wrong with it. And so with a few of the founders, they really appreciate all the degens coming into their app and trying it out and saying like, "Hey, Dev, you need to fix this, you need to fix that," because it gives them a direction to like improve their product. But you already had a lot of like core users giving you that feedback of what's good and what's bad. And now you're basically having this other camp just telling you like, "Oh, you need to integrate crypto somehow," and that's confusing to you as like a founder, like it is for anyone, because I think it's a challenge to have a great product and that doesn't really need crypto, but then to like add crypto into it. I think that's a unique challenge. And I think it's one that a lot of founders are struggling with right now. But I think there is a way to do it that's elegant for everyone, but it looks different for everyone. Um, have you gotten much support from the Believe team or from anyone else in the ecosystem of giving you advice on maybe how to integrate it or giving you just advice on anything in general regarding like this coin launch?
Yeah. I've had a lot of supports. Although there are a lot of crypto degens who are just trying to pump and dump these these coins, there are a lot of supportive people, which I didn't even know existed in the crypto community because I'm not in the crypto community. But there are a lot of people who are willing to help you out. So I've been talking to a few people who've kind of advised me on what they thought was like the best way to maybe integrate crypto into the product, the best way to keep people informed about my progress on Schedule. So yeah, lots of people who are very kind in reaching out and helping me understand a little bit more about what was really going on.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. That's one thing that's really special about Believe, actually. Um, I don't know if this is typical of like startup founders, but people have been helping each other a lot more than I've ever seen before. Like one of the Believe founders, he's really good at front end design, and he helped me with my website like for free. And I had him on the podcast. I feel like we're all helping each other quite a bit here. And in the creator Slack as well, we have like people asking questions about legal advice, and people are giving each other like, not legal advice, but just giving each other guidance in that realm. And like people are very friendly with each other. I don't know if that's a crypto thing or just people being nice, but it's really special to see.
Yeah, definitely experienced that.
That's wonderful. Is there any misconceptions that people have about Sketch? Like when you talk with them, is there any recurring like misconceptions that you see?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception that people have is that we compete against Calendly or Cal.com, which is definitely not the case. I think Calendly and Cal.com are really good in that they facilitate like these one-on-one meetings, appointment booking. Um, and we don't really do that. We're more for group scheduling. So whenever I tell people, oh, we're a scheduling platform, like, oh, what do you think about Calendly? Oh, what do you think about Cal.com? And we don't even compete with them, is always my answer. Even though a lot of people think that we do, we're trying to capture the audience that is trying to schedule these big meetings. Like some of our paid users are people who are scheduling these huge online conferences with like over 500 attendees, and they need to just see when everybody is available so they can schedule these online meetings at the ideal time. So I think that's probably the single biggest misconception people have.
That's a great point to make because I would have thought the same thing. I mean, I haven't done much research into what you're doing, which I think is a great way to have this podcast because I'm just like most listeners, I'm not very familiar. And so I'm glad you pointed that difference out. Um, that's very interesting because I think when I was working in a Web 2 job, we'd have to schedule group meetings, and then you'd have to go on like Google Calendar and like add everyone's calendar to your thing and then kind of like pick a time through that. And it's kind of labor intensive and not very clean UX. So how does Schedule work to do that better? Like what's the technical details there?
Yeah, sure. So, for your specific use case, I don't think Schedule would be that entirely useful because if you do already have everybody's calendars in like a Google Workspace and you know that those are people's real availabilities, they don't need Schedule. Just use Google Calendar. That's fine. We're more for people who don't necessarily share calendars with each other. Like, let's say that online conference. Where there are a bunch of attendees from all over the world with multiple different time zones. You can't just have people email you when they're free, right? You need to have some way of aligning on what times people are available. So it's more for that use case where you create like a schedule, you specify the time ranges you want to meet between, the days you want to meet on, and then you send that out. Everybody fills out their availability, and they can either fill it out manually or with their calendar, autofill from Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, or Apple Calendar. And then once everybody's availability is put in, then you can see when everybody's availabilities overlap. So how the UI looks is you have darker green that represents when more people are available, and then lighter green when less people are available.
That's really cool. I love it. So your biggest, you said your biggest paid users are these like big meeting groups virtually?
Yeah, so big meeting groups virtually. We have a lot of DND people scheduling DND games because they need to schedule like when everybody's free to hop on a DND game. We also have a lot of nonprofits. They need to schedule a lot of meetings, and they don't necessarily use stuff like Google Workspace. And a lot of students, college students, and these college students are less likely to pay, which is why I actually made it free for all college students. But that was where we launched. That's where we got our initial user base because I was a college student and I faced this problem of having to schedule all these meetings and aligning on availabilities. So I was essentially creating something for myself to solve my own problem initially.
I love that. I think where the best products are made is when you have your own problem and then you solve it with your own product. That's why I made Dashcoin Research because I'm trying to bet on all these belief tokens and decide who's like worth betting on and who's not. So I'm going to talk with all the founders, share these conversations, make research, and publish that on my website. So I like that you took that same approach, that you wanted to build something for yourself, because that's how you know it's truly useful too. If you're using it every
Exactly.
day.
Yeah,
Um,
you can't build a solution in search of a problem if you're solving your own problem. Like in the end of the day, there'll at least be one person who needs this, you, right?
exactly. So where did you go to college?
I went to college at USC, University of Southern California.
Did you like that?
Yeah, so I think USC is not the most technical school. I majored in computer science, so I don't think it's the best for computer science. But what I really got out of it was um, finding an entrepreneurship community at USC. There's this club I did at USC called Lava Lab, and that's where I met like some of the most cracked founders I've ever met in my life. There are people, it's a very highly selective club, and there were people who had like exited previous companies before doing that club. Like they got their company acquired in high school or something. So there's some really, really smart people. And I think that's where I really got interested in doing this entrepreneurship thing full time. Meeting all these cool people, where everybody was just building something that they loved and that was providing real value to the world. And yeah, so I really enjoyed my experience there because I was able to find the entrepreneurship community.
That's really special. I'm a big anti public education guy, because I think most of it is total bullcrap. And like biology, like I didn't need to learn biology in 10th grade. I forgot everything I learned. But that's exactly what makes school special, is when you can meet those like cracked people, and you're just surrounded by people building something you love, and you're learning a real skill. Like computer science is super important in this day and age. So that's
I I,
great.
I will say that most of the stuff I learned was not in classes. Like you said, all these classes are kind of useless. It was all through uh, working with people and building stuff in my free time. So building Schej, which was my main side project throughout college, that was where I learned the most. I don't think I learned a single thing in any of my CS classes. Like we were just learning super outdated technologies or stuff I already knew from just working on personal projects. So the real learning takes place outside of class.
Yep, naturally. So you're pretty public about like some of your revenue numbers, for example. Like I've seen you public posted on Twitter just saying like, "Oh, I made this much money this month," or like, "We're at this much ARR or MRR." What's that been like building in public? Like, you're so open. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so open because there's nothing to hide. I like to be super transparent about not only the wins but also the failures, because I think that builds trust with your followers, and people like to see that because I don't think enough people are doing that where they're super transparent about what they're working on. So um, it's still something I'm trying to figure out. I'm very early to this. It's only been I think around a month of me starting to do this, but it seems like people like it. Um, and I'll keep on doing it because um, I think it's valuable to show everything that's going on with your company.
It's definitely very special, and I think it does build a lot of trust, because for a lot of these belief coins, very few people share revenue numbers or anything like that. And I think it's important for the people to know, like, okay, how successful is this really? Is it all hype? I think it provides so much relaxation to people when they hold the token and they know like what the financials behind it are, and like what the real demand is. So I think that's really special. You're providing a lot of transparency, so that if people want to speculate, they have information to speculate on. And I think it's like a more of a level playing field. Whereas I'm afraid with some of these companies that people are overhyping them so much, and they're expecting so much, and then like if the revenue numbers come out or if something changes, like it could be a big drawdown because people are like, "Oh my God, this big thing was exposed." But you're like from day one being super open in public, so that's really special, and I'm glad you're doing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes from just my inspirations on Twitter, like Levels.io and Mark Liu. They always publish every single one of their revenue numbers every single month, right? You know exactly how much they're making in any given month. And I think that's like who I aspire to be. And because they publish everything super transparently, I want to kind of follow in their footsteps in that way.
That's wonderful. So now you got this token. Um, where are you at with integrating it? And how are you thinking about that at the moment? Is there anything you're excited about with the token in the near future?
Yeah, sure. So, I did publish a little announcement of what I was thinking of potentially implementing, and those were allowing you to own a certain stake and pay for Schedge Premium with that ownership. And another thing was being able to uh, have your feature request be higher prioritized if you burn some tokens to make it higher prioritized. And this was all stuff that I got feedback from uh, like crypto natives, people who were very kind, as we mentioned before, and were helping me out in terms of thinking about what to implement. Um, in terms of progress towards those goals, uh, uh, I've honestly been working more so on the feature requests from like my Web2 actual users. So I haven't really done anything in terms of actually implementing those things, but definitely on the radar. But I think it goes back to our original discussion about the two different polls from the Web2 users and polls from the crypto community that sometimes gets hard to balance.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that you're taking your time because I don't think you need to rush it. Um, I think what the traders need to realize that these are not their average products. These are or the projects that they're used to trading. A lot of times in crypto, they're used to like having very high frequency of trades and going in and out of things. Whereas these, you have like one to three founders who are working on a product, and it's kind of like there's a lot to be done. And so if they're not doing like all of your feature requests or all of your token implementations like immediately, that's okay. Like it's coming. Let the devs do their job. Let them make the products, and people need to like realize that. And I think it's good that you're, as a builder, focusing on your core audience and not getting distracted by the Twitter mongoloids because people are they're overly pushy and mean because money is involved and they want to make money, you know. And I think focusing on your product is all that matters. Like you have a great product, it will be able to be financialized, and then you can integrate some kind of way to like let people speculate on that financialization. I think is the goal. As far as I see, that's the goal of Believe tokens. It's like you have super early stage products, and people want to gamble on the success of those products or not. And like it's up to each builder to find a way to integrate the token into that so that it would like benefit if the product is successful. I think that's kind of a unique, or that's like the ultimate goal of when these tokens are done right, they benefit from the success of the product. I think that looks different for everyone though.
Okay, good to hear.
I appreciate you. You're a succinct speaker. You're like direct and to the point. I think you got your point across here very well. Thank you for coming on, Jonathan. It was a pleasure to have you.
Of course, yeah. Great speaking with you, Nicholas.
Take care, everyone. Until next time.